Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm doing a Kuribo deck profile. So I'm really excited for this one because this deck is actually nuts, and I'm not saying that because it's fuzzy balls. It's actually pretty nuts. What this deck does is it produces a bunch of tokens, essentially, and stops your opponent from attacking you and just basically turns into hand traps the deck. It is hilariously funny to play, and it just makes people rage quit because I can produce a board that has a Dragoons, IP Masquerena, Anaconda, and a Link Kuribo where they can't attack, or they have to attack into a monster, they're going to lose life points. I have a negation on board, and I can go into an Appaloosa or Boral Sword or Boral Load or whatever I need to go into to particularly take out my opponent. So, without further ado, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on the YouTube, comment part notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below, so you have some awesome rewards, guys, like your name in the description for every single video, getting signed cards in the mail, or even getting requested deck profile just like this one every single month that you are a patron. So, without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So, first off, you've got to play 3 copies of Kuribo. You can't play this deck if you don't play 3 copies of Kuribo. Basically, it is the first hand trap ever created in Yu-Gi-Oh! This card, during the damage calculation, if your opponent's monster attacks, you can quick effect, discard this card, and you take no battle damage from that battle. All it does is prevent your opponent from, or prevent you from taking battle damage from a particular battle. That's all it does. Kaiba said it was the weakest card in the game, but it's actually the strongest. This card is insanely good in this particular deck and can produce insane boards. We then play 3 copies of Winged Kuribo. Winged Kuribo is really good in this deck too because it helps us summon one of our boss monsters, and this card has the effect of, if this card is on the field, is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, for the rest of the turn, you take no battle damage. This card is like a retrained-ish better version of Kuribo. Kuribo has better support cards, which arguably makes Kuribo better to me. Then we play a single copy of Wing Kuribo level 10, which is the upgraded version of Wing Kuribo. What this card does is you have to summon it with Transcendent Wings. If you guys didn't watch Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, if you did watch Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, you know what this card does. But basically, if your opponent attacks while you have this card on your side of the field, you have to summon it with Transcendent Wings, which we'll get into in just a minute. But once you summon this card to your side of the field, you can tribute it and then destroy all monsters your opponent controls. As many monsters your opponent controls as possible, and then your opponent takes damage equal to every single monster that was destroyed's original attack. So if your opponent has 8,000 damage on board, this can one-shot them, which is really cool to be able to OTK them with one big fluffy ball. We then play 3 copies of Kuriboh Reborn. Kuriboh Reborn is really good in the deck too, because it's kind of like a massive monster reborn, because at the end of the battle phase, you can discard this card, and then target a monster in your graveyard that was destroyed by battle, and send to the graveyard this turn, and then you special summon it. And when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can banish this card from your graveyard, and then you get to target any number of Kuribo monsters in your graveyard, and special summon back every single Kuribo from your graveyard, which is really good. We play 2 copies of Rainbow Kuribo. Rainbow Kuribo is kind of an interesting card that I really like in this deck, because what it does is it helps out the deck when you get attacked, because, I mean, that's what the entire deck does, but what this card does is when your opponent's monster declares an attack, you can target that attacking monster and equip this card from your hand to that monster, and then it can't attack, period, which is pretty good. And when an opponent's monster declares a direct attack while this card's in your graveyard, you can special summon it by banish when it leaves the field, so it also protects you as well, which is really nice. We play 2 copies of Reelin Kuribo. Reeling Kuribo, if it's tributed, you get to draw a card, which is kind of nice. It helps out with Link Kuribo because you can tribute it off the Link Kuribo just to be able to get you that additional draw. 1 copy of Perform Pal, the Perform Pal Kuribo, I just played as a one-of. I probably wouldn't play it anymore because when an opponent's monster declares an attack, direct attack, you can special summon this card from your hand. If you do, you change the attack target to this card and then proceed damage calculation. And if you take battle damage from this attack, you gain that life points instead. So it's good to gain back life points, but I just don't feel like I played it any more than 1. We play a single copy of Sphere Kuribo. Sphere Kuribo, when an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, change the attacking monster to defense, which is pretty good. You don't ritual summon this deck, so the other effect doesn't come off on the deck. And then for the last Kuribo, we're playing a single copy of Clear Kuribo. When an opponent's monster activates an effect that would inflict battle damage to you, you can discard this card to negate the activation. And when an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can banish this card from your graveyard, and then you get to draw a card. And if it was a monster, you get to special summon that monster, and then change the attack target to that monster. So it can get you a draw. It can get you draw. It can get you special summon. It can protect you from direct attack. This card's pretty good, but it's just a good one-of. I play a single copy of Blackluster Soldier. Blackluster Soldier's good in the deck. I like it as a one-of. I've thought about turning this into a Chaos Turbo build, where I've thrown in 3 copies of Chaos Space, 3 Blackluster Soldiers, and just gone on in with Envoy at the beginning being backed up by Kuribos. I thought that would be hilarious. And you totally can if you drop Wing Kuribo level 10. Play 2 more copies of Blackluster Soldier. Maybe drop the Clear Kuribo or the Sphere Kuribo. You could drop Sphere Kuribo, drop the Wing Kuribo level 10, and then drop the 3 copies of Transcendent Wings we're going to be playing later, and put 2 copies of Envoy of Chaos, and play 3 copies of Chaos Space in the deck, and you could change it into a Chaos Kuribo build if you want to go that route, which is just another option. I play a single copy of Chaos Emperor Dragon Envoy of the End. Envoy of the End it's a neat card. You can't activate cards or effects the turn you activate its effect, which is neat. But you have to pay 1,000 life points, and it sends every card from both players' hands and both players' fields to the graveyards, which is good, because it can board wipe your opponent for just banishing a light and dark, which is what I really like about this card. We play 3 copies of Ash Blossom just to stop our opponent from shenanigans against us. We play 2 copies of Nibiru, which is really helpful in the deck. And then we also play a single copy of Dark Magician and a single copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon for Dragoons. You basically just send these to the graveyard off your copy of Anaconda with Red Eyes Fusion and go into your particular copy of Dragoons. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for these spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial is I usually use to send my Kuriboh Reborn to the graveyard or clear Kuriboh to be able to use their effects in the graveyard. 1 copy of Red Eyes Fusion. Red Eyes Fusion is just a good one-of in here for Anaconda. If you do top deck it, it's totally fine because you can just use this on the turn because you can just avoid normal summoning a Kuriboh during that turn. It's fine. And just drop it and immediately go for Dragoons. It's fine. 1 copy of 1 for 1. 1 for 1, pretty much the entire deck is level 1, so you're just going to special summon any Kuriboh off this. Instant Fusion because you can summon Millenniumize. Millenniumize is really easy to summon in this deck, and just getting it out on your side of the field is super helpful to be able to bait hand traps and to be able to stop certain plays that your opponent's going to try and do, because Millenniumize can stop monster effects. We play a single copy of Detonate. Detonate destroys as many Kuriboh or Kuriboh tokens you control, and then you destroy cards your opponent's side of the field up to the number of cards you destroyed by this effect, which is kind of neat. It's a really I like it as a one-of. I probably wouldn't play it in any more than one, but there's certain builds that just focus around Detonate, but I like it as a one-of. It doesn't come up much, but I use it. Sometimes. I play 3 Transcendent Wings. Transcendent Wings is because I love going into Wing Kuriboh level 10. You send a face-up or face-down Wing Kuriboh you control and 2 cards from your hand to the graveyard, and then you can special summon a Wing Kuriboh level 10 from your hand or deck. This card's ridiculous because it has a really ridiculous summoning requirement, but the payoff is so nice. If your opponent doesn't have a negation on board, you just flip this, send the 2 from your hand to the graveyard, and then go off with a Wing Kuriboh, tribute it, and then immediately just board wipe your opponent and they take all the damage. We then play 3 copies of the Flute of Summoning Kuriboh, which summons a Wing Kuriboh or a regular Kuriboh from your deck to your side of the field, or you add it to your hand. I usually just immediately special summon it to my side of the field. And then you play 3 copies of Multiply. Multiply is how the entire deck works. This card is ridiculously good. What it does is you just tribute a Kuriboh monster, and then you get to special summon, or a Kuriboh, and then you special summon as many Kuriboh tokens as possible in defense position, and they cannot be tributed for tribute summons. That's fine. We're not going to tribute summon in this deck. You're getting 5 Kuriboh tokens on your side of the field, and you are link climbing. That is all you're trying to do, is link climb as high as you can. Get out Anaconda. If you resolve this, you're going to get an Anaconda, you're going to get an IP Masquerena, and you're going to get a Link Kuriboh on your side of the field. Bare minimum. That is 5 Link materials, and then when you're past your opponent, you can summon any Link 4 you want, just about, with the copy of Link Kuriboh, the copy of your IP Masquerena, and your copy of Anaconda. You can summon Appaloosa with 3 negates. You can summon out your copy of Avermax, where it was being protected by being destroyed by battle, or destroyed by card effects. You can summon out a copy of Access Code Talker, being able to be protected by itself. I mean, there's just so many options to use Multiply with, because you're getting 5 tokens. It's like Scapegoats, but on diesel fuel. This card is ridiculous. So, that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Link Kuriboh. Yes, you actually summon all 3 Link Kuriboh, because if you resolve your copy of the Multiply, you want to start using your tokens right off the bat to go into Link Kuriboh, so you can go into Nightmare Monsters and go into your copy of Verte Anaconda, because Verte Anaconda requires 2 effect monsters, so you just link 2 of the tokens away for 2 Link Kuribohs, and then link the 2 Link Kuribohs away to summon your Anaconda, leave it on the field, and resolve its effect last in the entire field, so you can just go off with the Dragoons and have the backup of whatever else you have on the field. We then play a single copy of Appaloosa. Appaloosa is pretty good because you can summon it with your IP. With your IP and your Anaconda, use those 2 monsters to summon this. It'll only come out with 1600, but it can't be destroyed by card effects, which is pretty cool. And it also has the ability. That can negate cards. It gives you 2 negates additionally on top of your Dragoons, which is kind of nice. Crusadia Avermax, I go into this more often with the IP Masquerade because I want to have this and Dragoons, because the Dragoons can negate stuff, and then this can just punch through just about anything, which is kind of cool. Boral Sword is a 1/2. This card takes 3 effect monsters, but it's still really easy to summon. And when it's not being able to destroy by battle or by card effects with IP used as a material, it's pretty busted. We then play a single copy of Access Code Talker as well. Access Code Talker gets us additional pops, so you have like 2 going in cards, 2 kind of defensive cards, and this is also kind of an OTK maker. So it depends on what you really need to go into. This card just is super helpful. We play a single copy of Nightmare Unicorn just to spin stuff, Phoenix to pop spells and traps, and Cerberus to pop monsters. We then play a single copy of IP Masquerena. Masquerena is pretty good because I usually end with Masquerena because you can use tokens to actually link summon her, which is really nice because you just use 2 non-link monsters. That's all you have to do. And then during your opponent's turn, you can link summon. So you use her with like the Anaconda that you're going to have as well. On your side of the field, you use these 2, and then you summon any of your link 4s besides Boral Sword, because Boral Sword is going to require a Link Kuriboh and then these 2 as well, which you will end with usually. Because the end board that I usually establish is Masquerena, Predaplan Anaconda, Dragoons, and Link Kuriboh if I resolve Multiply with Kuribo. We then play a single copy of Relinquish Anima. Relinquish Anima is pretty good because it can gobble up an opponent's monster, which is super nice. Millenniumize just negates hand traps and negates monster effects during your turn, which is kind of nice. And then a single copy of Dragoons, because Dragoons is ridiculously easy to summon in this deck, because you just put Multiply on the field, summon your copy of Anaconda, and then it wants Bun Ton, and you summon out your Dragoons because it had nice buns. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you do enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to play around with, and it's really weird. Like, I never thought that Kuribo would be like... Kuribo's like, I think, my 3rd most viewed deck profile of all time. It became the 1st most viewed deck profile of all time until Blue Eyes took the spot. Oh, I totally forgot. Don't forget to play your Kuribo tokens. Don't forget to always carry Kuribo tokens with you, because this is really pivotal to have your Kuribo tokens with your Multiply so you can keep track of how many materials you've used. And you want to play the Kuribo brothers. And you know this one is one in charge because it's different. So, you know, that's important. You got to play that one different Link Kuribo token. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck, like I said, to play around with. I really enjoy playing around with Link Kuribo, or playing with Link Kuribo and all these different Kuribo monsters. It is ridiculously fun to play around with, and I just really enjoy this deck. So anyways, guys, I hope I can get some live duels of this deck very soon for you guys. It's super fun to play around with it, and it's just insane to see what this little fuzzball can actually pull off. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification, come bar notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.